gonna be the first solo video on this channel. Around like 5 months after we planned doing the first one. But there you go. I read an article yesterday, and I figured like I might as well do a video about it. Kind of article that probably dropped under your radar, as I kind of which you don't normally run out upon. So I'm gonna give you TLDR, and then I'm gonna highlight some points and go through it with you real quick, talk about some stuff. TLDR, there was a bunch of money laundering organized from Russia, which got discovered in between 2010 and 2014 by detectives from a bunch of countries and so on, so on, so on. And like data from that is still being evaluated or whatever. Plus, there's some leaks from that data. I don't get the exact details either, but there is data, like hard facts. So I don't exactly care, right? And based on that, there is stuff which I'll now read out upon and so on, so on, so on. So this is, by the way, in The Guardian. It's also all over the place. Yeah, a bunch of newspapers have been working on it. I'm not going to go through all of it yet. Britain's high street banks processed nearly 750 million in invest money laundering and so on. That's all good. Documents seen by The Guardian show that at least 20 billion appears to have been moved out of Russia during a 4-year period. We're talking about just 4 years, yeah? Between 2010 and 2014. The true figure could be 80 billion, detectives believe. So 20 billion, I cross-checked this was in another newspaper, at least they claim to, right? But everyone says that, like, literally 20 billion is actually there in hard facts, like in receipts and so on, so on, so on, like added together, bank transactions, whatever, which they have. And then the 80 billion is the estimate of like how much money probably actually got laundered between 2010 and 2014. And like, this... one senior figure involved in the inquiry said that the money from Russia was obviously either stolen or was criminal origin. Obviously, it's still unclear who exactly is behind the global laundromat. That's the name this thing was given, yeah. 500 people were involved and so on and so on. Just real quick, I want to come back to these numbers, yeah. Like 20 billion, or if we take 80 billion, yeah. Okay, let's take 20 billion. 20 billion. That's 250 euros for each German citizen. Like, it's quite insane. 80 billion would be 1,000 euros for each German citizen. There's fucking 80 million of us, right? Or 81 or whatever. Like, these numbers are absolutely staggering. At least in my eyes. I mean, like, 80 billion is pretty much like Bill Gates' entire wealth. And that guy is richer than some countries, so yeah. Now, how exactly this thing worked is also discussed at some point. Although that's not exactly... this article focused mainly on the US, on the British banks, and that's not the most interesting stuff, right? But the other articles I read were in German, so that's why I chose this one real quick. But what I really want to go into, and let me... real sorry if I'm scrolling, and I'll highlight the part I mean in a second when I find it. But yeah. Yeah, the Guardian contacted all of these banks. None of them challenged the authenticity of the data, but they all insisted they had strict anti-money laundering policies, right? There are like 50 banks involved, right? The response from RBS was typical, blah, 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 blah. This case highlights the need for greater information sharing. Yeah, that's a great thing to say, right? Like, everyone always says that. That's why it's a great thing to say. Well, not actually because it's a great thing to say, everyone always says that. But, what really got my attention was actually this part. Typically, the compliance and investigations department is treated like an unwanted stepchild. The directors of a bank see compliance as an expense without return. The compliance professionals are underpaid, underskilled, and receive little or no effective training in spotting criminal patterns. Because obviously, as long as your own internal investigation unit doesn't discover that there's criminal patterns going on, you can use the money which is given to you by criminals, and it's basically your income. And as long as they're doing a good enough job of it, I guess, to hide it from the authorities, which are probably also underpaid and overworked, but also don't have actually all the access to your information because you're actually a bank, and the police has to ask you every time they want something, and so on, so on. It makes a lot of sense that this is the case, right? But I mean, like, that this paragraph is correct, but it's like, for me, it's like just completely hallucinating that we're literally saying, right? Yeah, I trust banks to regulate themselves, like. For me, I couldn't imagine that's actually the case, but apparently, like, I mean, like, or I don't know. If you think about it, it seems like completely retarded. At least for me, like, it's like so straight up forward retarded. And if you ask me, like, there's a really easy solution. I think, like, to this type of problem, yeah. I mean, like, not a solution to the entire problem, but something, yeah, a solution. Let me just talk real quick. how about instead of having banks have their own compliance and so on units and whatever, which are internal structures, just pass a law which forces every bank to put, I don't know, 0.1 or 1% of their yearly revenue, or whatever, probably yes, 1%, but whatever, yeah, X%, whatever makes sense in the end, into a fund which is government run, and from which then government paid, but like, you know, completely paid by this fund where all the money comes from the banks. There is no government money going into it, yeah? I'm just talking about an institution which gets all their money from these banks because they're forced by law to pay, let's say, 0.1% of their revenue. And then this institution actually is the people who pay for all the compliance and investigator and whatever, like the research, you know, anti-crime unit, I would say, and then get paid back into the bank, right? Like, you have Bank of Germany, which is so and so big. They pay so and so much, so that corresponds to the pay of, like, I don't know, 100 people investigating against money laundering in this bank. So then these 100 people, which the money indirectly comes from the Deutsche Bank, but since they are working then to the German government or whatever government, the Deutsche Bank can't fire them, the Deutsche Bank can't underpay them, because, again, they have to pay 0.1% by law and so on. Like, I'm taking 0.1% as a completely random number, I haven't done any math. But I think it makes complete sense, and, I mean, like, money laundering is one thing, but it's exactly the same shit going on in when you have the financial crisis, right? And no one, like, everyone's selling bad papers because no one wants to be the only one not selling them. But if you would make, like, an external unit, which is completely independent from the banks, but you just still force the banks to pay for it, because why the fuck not? I mean, it's their shit going on. And, I mean, like, we gave them 50 years to try and figure it out themselves, and, well, what we came up with was this, right? It's not like they developed any sense of integrity or honor. So why don't we just fucking change it then? Okay. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you kind of agree. Please give me your opinion in the comments. Do you think I'm being completely retarded? Am I overlooking anything? Seeing something stupider? I'll obviously also post the link of the article in the comments. In the comments, yeah, comments or description below. If you want to read some more about it. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. And tell me if I should do more of this. Give me a like and thumbs up. Bye.